Hello Internet, and welcome to a new tutorial. In today's tutorial, we will continue working on our nighttime/forest sequence, and I want to talk about something that actually no one told me about when I started producing, which is the need to have at least one analog modeled or virtual analog synthesizer in your arsenal, because these synthesizers are, unlike their digital counterparts, are meant to recreate kind of like raw tones with their imperfections, screaming filters that digital filters doesn't really create because they're not meant to do it. And with this raw tone and screaming filters, they create contrast in an arrangement, and we need contrast because digital synthesizers tend to be a little bit harsh on the high end. Sometimes they're thin, sometimes they're fat. It really depends on the sound design and the synthesizer. But the point being is that these analog model synthesizers tend to be a little bit warmer and have these they distort easily and create these really nice tones that digital synthesizers doesn't create. And this actually brings life to an arrangement because it adds contrast. It adds the opposite of what a digital synthesizer is doing. I hope that made sense. So in today's tutorial, I want to show you my current go-to analog or analog modeled synthesizer, which is the TAL-Mod. But before we dive into this tutorial, if you'd like to support the channel, you can consider becoming one of my patrons, buy my presets on Gumroad, or just leave a like, comment, subscribe. Things like that helps the channel a lot. Now with that said, let's dive into this tutorial. So here's TAL-Mod, and TAL-Mod is a semi-modular synthesizer, meaning that we don't need to patch anything to get a sound out of it. It offers 3 oscillators, 2 main ones and 1 acts as a sub-oscillator. Oscillator 1 and 2 can be hard synced to oscillator 3. All of the oscillators can be triggered. You can control their phase. You can actually invert the phase, which is really nice to create bass lines. And oscillator 1 and 2 can have up to 7 voices of unison. Then we have 2 filters that can be routed in serial and in parallel, and you know how much I love synthesizers that offers these options. They're the best in my opinion. And each of these filters has different shapes, for low pass to high pass, one band pass, notch, all pass. All pass is basically a phaser kind of filter. It has a really nice tone anyways to the synthesizer. We have here a really nice modulation section, basically modulators out. We have 3 full ADSR envelopes, and we can control the shape of the attack stage, decay stage, and the release stage of each of the envelopes, meaning that each of these envelopes can have a different flavor than the other. So this gives us a lot of control over the tone of the synthesizer. Then we have a noise section. We can control the noise character with this color knob in here. Basically, we can go from white noise to pink noise, etc. We have 4 macros. 2 are unipolar and 2 are bipolar, just like so. And we have 2 LFOs. Each of these LFOs offer the classic shapes: triangle, sine, square, saw, sample and hold, and noise. We can sync them, we can retrigger them, and when we retrigger them, we have a delay parameter in here. We can set them to unipolar and mono. Also, we have a mode envelope that we can actually design the way we like, and we can also set it to step mode, so it'll be some sort of a stepped modulation. We have a 16 steps sequencer and a really nice but basic effect section with high pass for the master, a really simple 1-band EQ, chorus. If I'm not mistaken, this chorus is meant to recreate like some sort of a Juno chorus. So yeah, it's a really nice chorus anyways. We have a delay and a reverb. Okay, so that was a really quick overview. So what makes this synthesizer really special for me? It's all about the tones that the synthesizer can create. Like, let's take a really simple FM example, okay? The FM is already hardwired from oscillator 2 to oscillator 1. It's a sine wave from the second oscillator that FM's the first oscillator. So if I'll take off this oscillator, check this out. I'll crank the FM knob and we have this. Nice tone, right? Let's take the second oscillator 1 octave lower. Now we have this. Oh, this is really juicy. Let's set the oscillator 1 to a pulse. Now we have this. I don't know, for me, this is like the ultimate kind of FM tones, like raw FM tone. I really love these tones. Now, let's say we want to get a little bit more adventurous with the FM and, I want to use other waveforms than a sine wave. So I'll take off the FM from here and I'll modulate the first oscillator with the third oscillator. So I'll take the out from the third oscillator to the frequency input of the first oscillator. And as you can see in here, when I click on this little box, we will get the control amount and the whole, control on this modulation. And the thing is, we can control any modulation we create, using these virtual cables basically, with all of the modulation sources this synthesizer offers. And this gives us a lot of flexibility to sound design with the synthesizer. And this is one of the reasons why I love the synthesizer. So as you can see here, the control amount is set by +1. This won't give us enough range for the modulation that I have in mind, so I'm going to set it to +2. This will basically give us double the modulation range. Now, before we crank this knob in here, we need to select a wave from oscillator 3. I'll set it to saw. I'll trigger both oscillators. I'll hard sync oscillator 1 to oscillator 3. And when I'll crank the oscillator modulation, check what we have. And if I'll set oscillator 1 an octave higher than oscillator 3, we'll get this. Some really dirty FM tones. And the thing is that now we can actually sample this FM tone that we've just created and put it in Vital and actually create a wavetable out of it that then we can use in Vital or Serum or whatever you like and actually get all the goodies these digital synthesizer actually offers. And this is one of the reasons why these synthesizers are awesome. You'll create these raw, crazy tones with them, and then you'll turn these tones to a wavetable and use it in your digital synthesizer and go really crazy with it. Now, another thing these synthesizers does really well is these kind of like a screamy yet really marble-ish kind of filters. I think the best way to show you what I'm talking about is with a squelch patch. Now, I've already made a squelch tutorial for the TAL-Mod. I'll leave a link to that in here. So for now, I'll just go to one of my presets, which, by the way, will be available. All of these presets will be available for my patrons. And I'll set sample and hold the squelch. And we have a really simple squelch pattern going on. LFO 1 is modulating the pitch of oscillator 1, and LFO 1 is modulating the low pass filter in here. Second LFO also modulating the low pass filter in here. First LFO triangle, second sample and hold. Now if I'll add rhythmizer in here, 1 and 16th and a little bit of 1 and 8th, and I'll play with the filter, check what we will have. Pretty cool, right? Now I'll add a little bit of delay, and with the kick and bass, we will get this. This tone, you can't get it elsewhere. And another reason why these synthesizers are really important to get in an arrangement. The third, let's say, reason I really embrace these synthesizers is that they're usually really warm and you can get some really nice and punchy results out of them. And this is why I've actually created the kick of this project with it. Now, the original kick was created in kick 2 and it sounds like this. With the bass, we had something that sounded like this. Very nice sounding kick, but I've actually recreated the kick in TAL-Mod, and we have this. It's really punchy and plasticky, and yet it's like round and like fat. And I think that you should be able to hear the difference between kick 2 and TAL with the YouTube algorithm doing its thing with the audio of this video. TAL, This is a really nice kick. I really love it. Love this character it has. So yeah, basically, these are the main reasons why these synthesizers are awesome. They will get you some really nice tones. Their filters sounds really good, and usually they are really warm and like, you can get some nice punchy results out of them. Now, how does this reflect in our arrangement? So what I've done is that I want to add more elements to the track, and now I was thinking, okay, we need to add these contrast elements, as I said in the beginning of the video. So I've already created presets. As I mentioned, they will be available for my Patreons, and all of these presets are made with the TAL-Mod, and I will go really fast through these presets. So the first one is the squelch that we've just listened to. Pretty cool. Now the next one is some sort of a squelchy FM patch. Sounds like this. Some really weird kind of tones. The next patch is actually based purely on sine waves modulating each other's basically, and it sounds like this. And I've decided to spice this sound with some glitchiness, so I've added this Chris Glitch plugin in here from Bomb Shrinking Machines. They make awesome plugins, so now we have this. With the kick and bass, this gives us this kind of results. Some really crazy and weird tones. And I've also added this. And I've also added this kind of like a fake virus sound that I made, thanks to the screaming filters of TAL-Mod. Sounds like this. And I've also added this kind of an atmosphere patch that sounds like this. Pretty cool, right? It really adds something different to the arrangement that the other synthesizers, purely digital synthesizer doesn't add. Now, some of you might tell me, yeah, but this is a paid plugin. And, I like to always offer a free synthesizer when that's possible. So for this, I have the perfect substitute, which is from TAL2. So you will get the same mojo. And this synthesizer is the TAL Noise Maker. So TAL Noise Maker offers less than what TAL-Mod can offer, but it still gives us this really nice analog/warm mojo that we're looking for. We have two LFOs that has different shapes and has these pre-routed destinations in here, which are the most essential parts of the synthesizer. We have two oscillators. The first oscillator has saw, square, and noise, and the second one has saw, square, triangle, sine, and noise. We have master section. We can ring mod these two oscillators. We can FM oscillator 2 from oscillator 1. Just like with the TAL-Mod, we have a sine wave FMing oscillator 2. We have one filter with all of these flavors with its own full ADSR. And we have another full ADSR for the amp and an AD envelope to modulate filter, the oscillator's pitch, pulse width, and the FM. And just like with the TAL-Mod, we have this multi-segment modulation envelope in here that we can use to create these really weird modulation shapes and, modulate stuff with them. You can modulate filter, oscillators, pitch, FM, ring mod, and the volume. And just like with the TAL-Mod, we have a really simple effects section with chorus. We have a crush in here, reverb, delay. And yeah, just like with the TAL-Mod, we can get these really nasty tones out of it. Check this out. Some dirty tones. Let's set a sample on hold, and here set it to oscillate to 1 pitch all the way up, sync it, trigger it, set it to 1/16. Let's get a rhythmizer in here. Check this out. Pretty cool. Let's take a bandpass 12 decibels in here, give it some resonance. Let's give it some delay. Check these tones, man, these tones, they're really awesome. We can set the bandpass in here to bandpass state variable, 24 decibel per octaves. Now, I'm not going to go further with the TAL noisemaker. I think this proves the point. It's just like TAL-Mod, but, you know, with less features, but you still get this raw, nice analogish tone. So yeah, I invite you all to go download it and actually make some patches with it and actually share these patches with me on my Instagram. You can find a link to that in the description or on my Discord. And yeah, with this is the end of this tutorial. I really hope you've liked it. I really hope you've learned something new. And yeah, see you next time.